Hi, my name's Nicole, and this is the CK Diary Podcast. Hey guys, I hope you have been doing well. I am so excited to sit down and talk with you guys today. I have a couple of whips to show you. I have one finished object to talk about and a few other things that I'm going to be adding into the podcast. All right, so for my first whip that I'm going to talk about today, it is my vanilla socks on magic loop. This pattern is by Kay Liddon of the Crazy Sock Lady. I am using 2.5 millimeter needles. I think it's a 32-inch circular, and I am using Cascade Heritage yarn in the colorways China Blue. The entire sock is China Blue except for the toe, which is navy. It's like a little fiber on it. I really like how these are turning out. I am through one full sock, and then on the other sock, I'm through the cuff and the leg. I have like 2 more rounds on the leg to go, I think. 3 more rounds on the leg, and then I'll be doing the heel flap. But I have put this on pause for a minute because I got my yarn in for my friend's poncho. I will talk about the yarn more in the acquisitions section of the video, but for now, this is the poncho. So it'll actually sit, the points go in the front and the back. So it'll actually sit like that. This is the Coming Home poncho from Lion Brand Yarn. It is a free pattern, and I will have it down in the show notes if you are interested in checking it out. It is a granny stitch poncho, which is really nice. I know I talked about it a while ago that I've kind of like fallen out of crocheting a little bit, but I still love granny stitch. I have a granny stitch shawl going, and I'd like to make a granny stitch like the cardigans that were popular for a while, the granny square cardigan. But I think I'll always love the granny stitch. And then I have, well, that's not really granny squares. They're closed granny squares, but I love double crochet. So this whip is, I'm using a 9 millimeter crochet hook, and the yarn is Malabrigo Chunky in the colorway Arco Iris. It's a really beautiful yarn, and I am excited to show you my other skeins in the acquisitions video. Right now I am through 3.5 skeins. I'm probably going to work on that a little bit more tonight after this. And that is it for my whips right now. Those are just the whips that I'm currently working on. I have quite a few more, but none that you need to see because they haven't had any work on them since you saw them last. All right. Now for finished objects. I told you in the last podcast from last week that I have not had any finished objects yet this year, but that is not true. I forgot that I made one of our friends in the neighborhood a sweater for her baby. She just had a baby. I think he is 8 weeks old now, maybe. And so I made him a little flax sweater. I've had a skein of the Cascade Eco Alpaca at the house for a long time. I got it from the Knit and Stitch boutique one time while I was out there. I had never had an alpaca yarn before, and it was really soft. I know that alpaca is a little bit stretchy, but I figured for a baby sweater it'd be fine. I made the flax sweater from Tin Can Knits. I did the 0 to 6 month size. I did not do short rows. I just did, it is worked from the top down, no short rows, super easy, super quick. It took me 2 days. I finished that on January 2nd, I believe. And I know I talked about not doing Ravelry, but Ravelry is really probably just the easiest way to keep track of my knits. I could keep some kind of Excel sheet probably, but it is nice having like the pictures and all the information right there together in a little bit of an easier maybe a more easily accessible space. So I did go ahead and update all of my projects on there. Sometimes my projects, whenever I look back at the projects that I've made, they get a little bit mixed up. I'm wondering if they store it in order of the start date and not the end date. So I am putting just 25 after all of my project names for this year so that I know that I finished it in 2025. Because next year, I didn't really keep track of everything this year, or I did keep track of most things, but there were a lot of things that I didn't even post on my Ravelry that I made. So this year I'd like to keep a little bit of a better track of everything, or a little bit of a better record of everything, so that I can do what I made in 2025 at the end of the year, or at the beginning of next year. All right, so the sweater, I used the Eco Alpaca by Cascade Yarns. I believe it was worsted weight, I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember the colorway name. It was just like the darkest brown, because the Eco Alpaca is just natural, it isn't dyed. And I believe it was the darkest brown that they offered, or at least that they had at Knit and Stitch. And I used the recommended needle size that they have on the flax sweater. I know I've talked about Tin Can Knits app before. If you don't have the Tin Can Knits app, you should really download it. It is a really well done app. It's super easy to navigate. All of her free patterns are loaded onto the app. I think you can purchase her patterns for purchase. I'm pretty sure you can purchase them on the app. And then when you have a pattern on the app, all of her free patterns do this anyway. I'm pretty sure you can do it with the paid for patterns as well. But you go through the app and they have you pick like the size that you want, the weight yarn that you have if she has different weight options. And then it like puts everything together for you. So you don't have to do any math. You don't have to look through the pattern and count like to what size you are. It loads all of your information that you need so that you're not having to take any extra time to figure anything out as far as like how many stitches you need, how many rounds you need. All of that's done for you, and I love that. I love how easy and simple it makes it. But that wasn't a finished object for this week. I don't even have the sweater with me anymore. I think that's why I forgot about it last week, because as soon as I was done, as soon as I blocked it, I dropped it off at her house. But I do have a picture, and I will have put that up while I was talking about it. All right, so now I can move on to my acquisitions, which I'm really excited to share with you. So this is the Malabrigo yarn that I was talking about. It is Malabrigo Chunky. It is their bulky weight yarn. This is 100 grams, approximately 104 yards or 95 meters. Now, her needle size does recommend using a 6 to 8, it's Malabrigo, I don't know. It's not like a hand dyed, but they do recommend using a 6 to 8 millimeter needle for this, or hook, and I am using a 9 millimeter hook. I typically crochet quite tight, and the pattern called for a 9 millimeter hook. And when we were looking over the pattern, my friend said that she didn't really like how big the holes were in it. So I figured I'd be safe to keep the 9 millimeter needle since I crochet tight typically, and that it would work out sizing wise. And I feel like it's working out pretty good so far. I'm actually gonna pick up this one because that one's coming unraveled. But it is a really beautiful multicolored yarn. It has purples and pinks and teals, yellows. There are a couple, some of the skeins, they're all a little bit different. So for these yarns, it does say no dye lot. So I'm assuming that there's just so much of a variation in the yarns that they don't really worry about dye lot for this one. I'm gonna see if I can find one that I have. There are a couple that have this like really bright pop of neon green in them. It hasn't been in every skein, but it's been in one or two of them. So here's the has these really bright bits of neon green occasionally. And it looks really nice. And I love this purple, the purple color that's in there. I've really enjoyed working with it. It's a 100% merino wool. It is not super washed, but it's still super, super soft. or at least the tag doesn't say it's superwash. The colorway is Arco Iris. And I've really enjoyed working with this yarn. I haven't crocheted something with a chunky yarn in a really long time. All right. And my other acquisition, I'm so excited to share with you guys. These are the watercolor paints I was talking about. I have this little box that I got a long time ago from Hobby Lobby. I had my zippers stored in it, for sewing, but I ended up just putting my zippers in a clear bin and stuck them in my closet where I put all my closet in my bedroom. I have a section in there that I just have my overflow sewing stuff in it. And I decided to put my paints in this little box. So I already showed you the ceramic water cup and palette and everything that I got. So now I'm going to show you the paints that I got. So these are from a small business called Red Clover Meadow. I can't remember. Let me look up where she's out of. All right, so Red Clover Meadow is out of Bulgaria. This is the tin. The whole packaging for this entire palette was just so beautiful. And these are the colors. I don't want to spill them out, but they are really so beautiful. I wish I had brought, I don't know where it's at. There was like a little color card that came with it so you could see all the colors. Maybe I'll show that to you guys next time. And then I got these paint brushes. This says, forget rules, forget right, remember joy. And this is from, I believe her name is Katie. I'll put her information down below as well. But she has all kinds of wonderful videos on YouTube on water painting for beginners. And she is who I started watching to try to figure out what I wanted to get paintbrush wise and all of that good stuff. So my husband surprised me with this little set. It just has a few different kinds of brushes in it. I haven't done a whole lot yet, but I've been having fun. I've been having fun with it. I'm not great, but I have time to learn. But that is it for acquisitions. So one of the things that I want to start doing a little bit more consistently and a little bit differently is my Ravelry Spotlight. So the Ravelry Spotlight is basically just patterns that I favorited that I would like to make and that I just want to share with you because I think you might like it. So let's go ahead and hop over. I'm going to share my screen with you. And today I am looking at the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan by Katrin Seberg. So I have been wanting a quilted jacket for quite some time now, but all of the quilted jackets that I look at are a little bit bulkier, a little bit stiff. I think that's just the nature of a quilted jacket. And I think that this will be perfect for what I want. Because it's knitted, it has a beautiful drape, but it also has that quilted look to it, as it is meant to. And so I love the little star pattern. I don't know what kind of star this is called. The quilted jacket I was looking at was called an Ohio star. So this is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors that she picked. She used Hello Stella Fibers, her tweed merino. And let's look at some more information for this. So you can see up here, it is $12 USD. And it is fingering weight, held double. If I remember correctly, she had 3 sizes available for a 50-inch bust, a 70-inch bust, and a 78 3/4 inch bust. So the the cardigan is meant to be worn oversized, which is perfect. It just makes it even more cozy. All right. And whenever I was looking at the pattern earlier, it looked like maybe she had 3 different needle sizes, like one for the button band. It doesn't look like she has buttons on it, but I don't know what else I would call that. And then for the main part of the sweater, and then another size for the sleeves. All right, let's see. It says that the pattern will guide you through the process of selecting which size will work for your preferred level of ease and perfect fit. All right. And let's read her description here. It says, this is designed to feel like a comfy quilt draped as a sweater, but ease and fit are personal and up to you. I've included schematics so that you can measure your favorite oversized coat or sweater and be in charge of how much ease you would love to wear over and over again. All right. The pattern sample uses 6 colors. I will probably make mine really close to hers. I think that I'm going, you can see in her picture here that her sleeves are 2 different colors. I will probably do the same color on both sides for the sleeves, but other than that, I really love everything about this sweater. I love the colors that she chose. It's so funny because I actually used to hate that mustard yellow color, but I really like it now. It's definitely part of a color palette that I enjoy now. But yeah, so I think that this might be the way that I start doing, I'm gonna go ahead and close out of this. I think that might be the way that I start doing my Ravelry Spotlight now, just to show you guys what I'm looking at so that you get a better idea of the pattern, how much it costs, and see if it would be something that would be interesting to you. One other segment that I wanted to add into my podcast is a reading segment. So what I'm reading, a lot of the podcasts that I listen to have that segment in there. But since I've become a mom, I haven't done a whole lot of reading for myself. I read a lot of books to the boys, but haven't really done any on my own. Anything that I do read is usually like nonfiction. But I've recently gotten into historical fictions. I have a long list of books. If you'd like to add some more in my comments, I would love to hear your suggestions. But the ones that I'm reading right now, I'm reading the Wolf Den trilogy. So I watch Wool Needle's Hands, and Taylor Earle, who hosts that podcast, she recommended the Wolf Den trilogy. It is by Elodie Harper, and I thought I've read the first 2 books in the trilogy, but I have not, and I'm on the 3rd now, and I haven't finished it. But I thought I would read the Wolf Den, the first book in the trilogy. I thought I would read the Goodreads description on there, or the Goodreads description for you. I don't want to give too much away, and I thought I'd just read the first because I feel like, obviously the first book sets up everything else. All right, it says, sold by her mother, enslaved in Pompey's brothel, determined to survive, her name is Amara, welcome to the Wolf Den. Amara was once a beloved daughter until her father's death plunged her family into penury. Now she is a slave in Pompey's infamous brothel, owned by a man she despises. Sharp, clever, and resourceful, Amara is forced to hide her talents. For as a she-wolf, her only value lies in the desire she can stir in others. But Amara's spirit is far from broken. By day, she walks the streets with her fellow she-wolves, finding comfort in the laughter and dreams they share. For the streets of Pompeii are alive with opportunity. Out here, even the lowest slave can secure a reversal in fortune. Amara has learned that everything in this city has its price, but how much is her freedom going to cost her? Set in Pompeii's Lunapark. Oh gosh. Lupanar? I can't remember. It's the word for the Wolf Den. It's the, in their language is the word for the Wolf Den. So I think that's what that is. Says the Wolf Den reimagines the lives of women who have long been overlooked. So the book is really neat because it is, in the first book, I don't think any of the characters are real. Once you get to the 3rd book, it actually has, like, half of the characters in the first book are real people talking about their real lives, things that really happened. The rest of the books are, some of the places are real, some of the events are real, and they're based on things that they found, like in writings and graffiti and statues that they found. But I thought this was kind of neat. The Wolf Den, the place that the book is based off of, is a real place. And Amara is not necessarily real, but I was reading some things about the book, and she does represent some of the things that happened throughout her life in the books does represent some things that actually happened, maybe not necessarily to women in the Wolf Den, but to women in Pompeii at the time. Really interesting books. They're not spicy. It does take place in the brothel, and it does have some crude language, but it doesn't go into any detail of anything, of a spicy nature. There are some like hard realities that these women have to go through and that these women faced, and there are times where you're like gut wrenched and heartbroken for them, but it doesn't go into any like crude detail. And then I'm reading a book with my husband as well. It is called The Nightingale, and that is by Kristen Hanna. T Mason 1116 on Instagram recommended it to me. I made a post a few days ago on Instagram for to see you guys' favorite books, and you guys gave me some really, really great recommendations. So we haven't gotten that far in The Nightingale yet. I think we're only on chapter 3. But it's a book about World War II. And I just thought it was a nice little alternative to like watching a TV show or a movie every single night. But that is really it. I am excited to have a little bit of a longer form podcast. I'm excited to share more with you guys. And if you have any other ideas of what I can do to make this podcast better or things that you would like to see, I would love to hear about it. I look forward to talking to you guys again next week. Thank you so much for sitting here and chatting with me today. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.